Hello, my name is Michael Antonis, and today I'm going to be talking to you about alternate day fasting and its role in clinical practice. Alternate day fasting, or ADF for short, is a consumption and dieting technique where one cycles between fasting states and feeding states in an approximately 24 to 36-hour interval. Obesity has been an increasing health issue in the United States lately, and it has been postulated that changes to the circadian rhythm with modern day life have been partially to blame. Evolutionarily, humans have not always had food readily available, and people would have to go long lengths of time between meals in the days of the hunter-gathering societies. A more traditional technique is caloric restriction, in which one reduces caloric intake. The ADF eating strategy may have health benefits and could have a profound role in clinical practice. ADF has yielded promising results in both animal and human studies and may prove to be a superior dieting strategy to caloric restriction. The review of the literature also reveals some patient populations who may benefit most from the dieting and eating routine, but it shows some of the benefits and risks of implementation in both short and long-term periods. Moving on to the methods. The clever methods used in alternate day fasting studies have revealed key findings through the incorporation of the eating regimen in both short and long-term periods. There are many aspects of alternate day fasting that warrant further study, with some alternate day fasting researchers calling for more work to be completed with modified study designs to unearth more of the unknown. The primary study design utilized when researching alternate day fasting have been through the randomized control trial. The graphic here highlights the typical methods involved with each study's experimental design. First, the primary study utilized the randomized control trial. Next, participants were recruited online and through advertisements, selected and screened. The next graphic down here shows some of the inclusion and exclusion criteria commonly used when evaluating potential participants. Participants varied in different studies. Some had only females, others chose age ranges for participants that varied. Some chose participants with a healthy normal weight, while others required subjects to be obese, although weight stability for a period of time prior to the study was common throughout. So if you look here, weight stability and adult age, common for inclusion criteria, and then exclusion criteria included conditions such as smoking, health issues like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, if you're pregnant, perimenopausal, but not all studies. Some actually, that was the focus of it. But taking certain medications, and those include medications to lower lipids for weight, lowering weight, and diabetic glucose lowering medications. Having a firm grasp of the common inclusion and exclusion criteria for ADF studies under review is important for the generalizability of the findings, as well as determining demographics and patient population most suitable for the food consumption method. So the next step typically involved monitoring participants with different parameters. Some common parameters monitored are listed in the third graphic here at the bottom, and these include body composition, weight, caloric intake, heart rate, energy expenditure, metabolic markers such as those of bone metabolism, as well as hormones like thyroid hormones, and also blood pressure. Studies differed with just how in depth they went with these parameters. Some studies went into greater depth and analyzed even the proteome, metabolome, and some even used analyzed the resting metabolic rate with calorimetry. So then next after that, the intervention would take place. Some studies had groups comparing long-term and short-term interventions, and some had groups comparing high-fat and low-fat intervention. Some compared alternate day fasting to caloric restriction, while others just had control groups as well. And then the final part we'll go into next, focus on the results and analysis. So results here, the effect that ADF has on body weight is noticeable and quite remarkable. First, we'll look here. We'll zoom in a little bit. So the first group of results listed here are adopted from Figure 5 of the Stokovich et al. Study. which showed long-term greater than 6-month fasting results. A shows cholesterol, B shows HDL, C shows LDL, and E shows triglyceride. Of note, the p-value here for A was statistically significant with a value of 0.004. C was also statistically significant with a p-value of 0.011 for LDL, and E was also statistically significant with a p-value of 0.010. The only one here without statistically significant differences was in B for HDL levels. So that study also showed, it was not listed here, a reduction of 3.5 plus or minus 1.475 kilograms after 4 weeks in the ADF group, because they also had a short-term arm, which was a randomized controlled trial in their study. So besides the favorable change to body weight, the studies under consideration for this literature review included a variety of other significant findings with regards to blood, bone, and immune health. So next here, in the results is a table adopted from Table 3 of the Klempel et al. Study, which showed body composition changes reported in weight during their ADF weight loss phase. Perhaps more importantly, not listed, they also reported the changes in percent body weight. After a 2-week weight maintenance phase, followed by 8 weeks of alternate day fasting, statistically significant changes in both high-fat and low-fat alternate day fasting regimens with p-values of 0.0001, noted reductions of 4.8 plus or minus 1 and 4.2 plus or minus 0.8% respectively. This is significant as alternate day fasting high-fat group was designated to mimic the upper limits of the American high-fat diet, and as it may play a role in the generalizability for many Americans. Favorable changes to blood work were also reported after 8 weeks of alternate day fasting with statistically significant results for high-fat and low-fat groups with a p-value of 0.0001 or less for both. Favorable changes in blood work were reported after 8 weeks of alternate day fasting with statistically significant results for high-fat and low-fat groups as low-density lipoprotein, total cholesterol, and triglyceride all decreased in this study as well with p-values less than 0.0001. Although not listed here, adherence was also higher for the high-fat group at 87 plus or minus 9% compared to that of 78 plus or minus 8% for the low-fat group with a p-value less than 0.05, suggesting that this may be an effective way to lose weight and improve lipid control. So we can move down here to the next table. This is adopted from Table 4 of the Catenacci et al. Study comparing results of alternate day fasting and caloric restriction regimens. Although not shown here, the study also found similar lipid lowering results in their study as well. So next I'll highlight a couple of changes here. So in this study, they found after 8 weeks a statistically significant reduction in body weight percentage by 8.8 plus or minus 0.9% achieved through alternate day fasting with a p-value of less than 0.001 as highlighted here in green or blue. And similar results of a 6.2 plus or minus 0.9% reduction obtained through caloric restriction with a p-value also less than 0.001 as highlighted in orange, with a marginal significance between the two routines with a p-value of 0.056 shown here and reported by Catenacci et al. So going back, if we look down here at the bottom, we'll look at some of the results portrayed in figures 1 and 2 of the Virati et al. Study. This study investigated the factors that best yield weight loss through alternate day fasting. So on the left, we have race and ethnicity, and on the right here, we have sex, So their results actually showed no statistically significant differences for sex or baseline weight or BMI. However, achievement of a greater percent weight loss was statistically significant for Caucasians with a p-value of 0.04 when compared to African Americans and Hispanics in the studies. And although not shown here as well, those in a 50 to 59.9 age category also showed improved weight loss with a p-value of 0.01 compared to other age groups. So if we circle back up here to the top, the results published in the Stakovich et al. Study also helped to increase the knowledge of long-term effects that alternate day fasting has had on healthy adults. When compared to controls, subjects practicing alternate day fasting for greater than 6 months had no statistically significant differences in indicators of immune health, such as counts of white blood cells, red blood cells, CD4 T cells, and CD8 T cells, among others. Metabolite and peripheral red blood smear proteomic analysis also suggested favorable shifts occurring in metabolic pathways involving lipid metabolism. Although many favorable findings have been revealed throughout the various studies included in this literature review, there's still plenty of room for further investigation. So to conclude, alternate day fasting research has shown promising findings in human studies. Results have shown that long-term effects greater than 6 months of alternate day fasting prompted no problems in regards to healthy subjects' body composition, bone, immune health, bone metabolism, and metabolic processes. Alternate day fasting can have similar results with both high and low-fat diets. Caucasians and people in their 50s may tend to yield greater weight loss success. Caloric restriction and alternate day fasting tend to yield similar results in terms of weight loss, body composition changes, and blood work. However, after unsupervised follow-up, alternate day fasting may achieve greater lean mass results and more trunk fat loss. And there's still need for additional alternate day fasting research. However, one day may become incorporated into routine clinical practice recommendations, with food timing prescriptions becoming a potential reality. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to go through this presentation with me, and I hope you learned something.